2024 is coming to a close, so it's time for us to come together again and try and agree on something. That's going to be our headphone pick of the year. We're also going to talk about our individual favorites, some electronics. I'm joined by Resolve, Listener, and GoldenSound, and I think we should just jump into it, guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, what do you guys want to start with? Do you want to start with like our experience and then work our way towards the products, or do you want to do it the other way around?
Well, I think that everyone would love it if we just saved product of the year for last, right? That's what people want.
That's what everyone wants.
They hate it when we get right to the, relevant information at the beginning.
Yeah, there will be chapter markers down below if you want to skip ahead. You should watch the whole video, but like if you really want to skip ahead, you could.
All right. What was your guys' favorite experiences of 2024? 2024 was not, I won't say is the best year for like product releases for headphones. It was kind of mediocre for that.
I would agree.
But there were some awesome experiences like, getting to go, like we got to go to Munich High End, which was always fun. We got to go to Poland. That Europe trip was great. You guys went on a unique trip recently to Dallas for a Can Jam. So what was your guys' favorite experiences of the year?
Oh, this right here. This was my favorite experience of the year.
Why are you comforting Blaine? What's going on there?
I got to bring this guy to Can Jam Dallas. We put so many headphones on him. We got some squiggly lines. It was great.
He's missing his hat.
He's missing his hat. No, we brought the 4128 to Can Jam Dallas, and we measured just over 100 headphones. That was my favorite audio experience of the year. That was super great. Got to add a lot to our collection, our database. And I think people liked that. I think we need to do that again at more Can Jams.
Yeah, totally agree there. I would say, while that was definitely a highlight for my year, as was getting MRI scans done at SoCal by Dr. Craig Stark. Shouts out to Craig Stark. I actually think my favorite audio experience of this year was the night I got my Porta Pro wireless and my partner came home from her job. And I showed them to her and she was like, oh, cool. And she actually put them on. I'm sure you guys are familiar with, partners not being all that interested in what we do, but her not only being interested, but putting it on and telling me to quote unquote DJ for us while she sits in the other room working on art and I do my thing in the office. That was a very nice experience, just sharing in the thing that I care a lot about, but her actually being able to get some enjoyment out of it too.
Yeah, to hell with using speakers. It's, the headphones for two people at the same time in different rooms.
This is the way. My
favorite auditory experience or audio experience, I was thinking about this and it's a challenge because there were some, ridiculous setups at Munich High End, but actually I'm gonna shill my colleague's product over here a little bit. The Aperio GSE was probably the best sounding auditory experience of the year for me. Not to say that it was exactly how, because I'm thinking of I'm not EQing anything or anything like that. I'm just listening to a thing. Not to say it's, exactly what I would have done with it, but it was very, very good. I liked it a lot.
That was really, really, really good.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I think for me, it's a little bit of a challenge between two things. Either what listener said, getting the MRI scans whilst we were in SoCal. Big shouts out to Craig Stark. And I'm really excited for all the things we're going to be able to do from the data that we got from that. But I think my favorite auditory actual listening experience was when we were at Munich High End and we went to a demo done by Stephen Wilson for spatial audio Dolby Atmos listening. There was an incredible setup in this room. I don't even know how many speakers there were, and he played through a bunch of different songs, some just 2-channel, some where he'd made a spatial mix from 2-channel information or from some stems, and then some stuff which was recorded and produced from the very start for spatial audio. And even though we weren't in the sweet spot, we were a little bit toward the edge of the room, that experience was just fantastic. And it leaves me thinking that I'm just really excited for where spatial audio in particular is going to go. It seems like the next obvious big step for both headphones and speakers. And yeah, that was probably my favorite auditory experience for this year.
Yeah, shout outs to Stephen Wilson. I'm very glad we got to do that. I kind of pushed for that, and then I was a bit starstruck because I'm a big fan, but also yeah, like hearing the mix of his song, one of his songs, which is it's on an album that I regularly listen to. I think it was called Impossible Tightrope. I think that's the name of the song.
It was Staircase, wasn't it?
Oh no, it was Staircase. Yeah.
I do love a good Atmos setup, so I'm kind of sad that I missed that.
We weren't sure that we were going to get in. We were stood queuing outside because we hadn't pre-booked tickets, and so they're like, well, there may be some seats available. You got to sit outside and wait. And so we did for about an hour, and luckily we just squeezed in, and damn glad that we did.
All right, should we get to the products of the year, or our favorites? Let's say let's do our favorites first individually, and then we'll do product of the year. DMS. Yeah, DMS. What were your favorites of the year?
Oh, okay. So am I doing my reviewers pick of the year first, or am I doing my runner-up?
I would say runner-up and then pick.
My runner-up this year is the Mega 5 EST. And I think the only reason that it has to be runner-up is because it didn't actually come out this year. I discovered it this year, and I think a lot of other people discovered it this year. And I put out my video this year. It was right before CanJam New York City that I got a hold of it, so in February. And that is, to this day, for me personally, the best IEM I've ever heard. And I just love it.
And unfortunately, you butchered the name because it's not pronounced Mega 5 EST. It's pronounced Megafest, and I will not take any other. I won't have anything else.
Megafest is the mega best.
Mega best. All right. And what was your favorite?
Well, if E3 hadn't come out at the end of last year, I would be picking it, but it came out last year. So it's going to be the new DCA, the Aeon Noir X, because I loved the Aeon Noir, and I feel like this is a substantial improvement from that. I still like the E3 more, but the E3 is also double the price. But for a closed back that I feel like is this linear, closed backs have come a long way. Closed backs have come a really long way.
It's been a good year for closed backs.
It has been. We got the FT1 also. I really liked the FT1. And that's actually something I also considered for the spot, but with how much I loved the original Noir, the Noir X is just the next logical step there for me. So I love my closed backs, and that one has already spent a fair bit of time on my head since it got here.
Would you say the FT1 is kind of like your budget pick?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you're on a budget, it's between the FT1 and the K361 or 371. And I think the 3.6 headphones are either, I think the K361 and K371 are a little bit better in some aspects of their sound, but the FT1, it wins on comfort and it wins on build quality. And those are two big important things because the K361 and 371, as good as they are, they do kind of fall apart.
All right. Listener, do you want to give your picks?
Yeah, sure. So as stated before, it has been a pretty good year for closed backs. And actually, I'm deciding right now to change my runner-up position. So I've got to give the runner-up to the FIO FT1, because actually that is a release that kind of just came out of nowhere and basically put FIO on the map, for me at least, but also I think for a lot of people, as a serious force in over-ear headphones to care about. And I only heard it this past weekend at a meet in Philadelphia, but I was shocked. I actually think sonically it's a good deal better than the K361 and 371. It's probably a little bit too bright for me, but it has much more bass on my head, like it actually seals. And as you said, DMS, it's way more comfortable and better built. So yeah, it's kind of hard not to make that at least the runner-up, if not the product of the year for me. And then as far as my choice for product of the year, it would probably be the Focal Azuris, another one that I only really heard recently at SoCal. And yeah, it just has everything I want in a closed back with really none of the downsides that I usually experience, like overly hyped and cold mid-range or too much treble. It seems to handle both of those things really well while being pretty cute visually, not super heavy, and just comfortable overall on my head. So yeah, that'd probably be the one that this year impressed me most sonically and made me walk away after my demo most wanting to own it.
Cool. So for my choices, for my runner-up, I'm going to go with something a little bit controversial here. It's actually going to be an IEM, it's funny because I'm on record saying that IEMs are objectively worse than over-ear headphones. There's a video on that.
There's also one which is titled IEMs are objectively better, so don't forget to mention that.
That's true. There are things that are better as well. Watch both those videos. So my runner-up choice here is a bit controversial because it is the Dusk with the Dusk default DSP preset, or the cable. And the reason it's controversial is because the cable and the app and all that was really quite bad, but the concept itself was really good. And I feel that tuning, the Dusk default DSP tuning, given the popularity of that product, it was something that allowed the masses to hear a JM1 or population average based tuning, a new meta tuning, and it got a lot of people that kind of sound. That's why it's a runner-up for me. I still think it's a flawed product in the sense that a lot of those things don't work quite as well as they should, like the app and the software and stuff like that doesn't work quite as well as it should. But it's also the best sounding IEM for me that came out this year with that default DSP preset. My favorite product of the year, though, has to go to the Sennheiser HD 490 Pro right here, which is not necessarily for its sound quality. The thing about the 490 Pro that's so great is it's kind of like the best aspects of the HD 800 and HD 800S at a much more affordable price tag. It's not quite the same as the H800S in a number of areas, but the many good things about it, like the low acoustic impedance, it's very open, and a sound signature that has better bass extension than their previous series, the HD6 series, and a bit more treble as well. So it kind of fills in Sennheiser's gaps, but also as a platform for EQ and for comfort and the ergonomics and all the things that many high-end headphones don't do so well, the 490 Pro absolutely nailed it. And that's the reason why that's my favorite product that came out this year. And I need to do another video on it at some point. But yeah, a really, really solid headphone.
Yeah, it's like every single aspect, every facet that you could really consider, it just did a great job at.
I would say, yeah, for the most part, like its ergonomics and comfort and like even the look and just the build quality, all of the stuff that has to do with the way it feels is like one of the best headphones I've ever handled. The sound is like another story. Like, I don't really think it sounds very good, but it's really hard to argue.
Well, I think it sounds good. I get why you'd say that. It doesn't sound as good as the HD6XX and 600 for the mids, right? Like I think that's where it's not as good.
I actually think the mids are where it's least bad. Like I actually think it's probably the mid-range tuning where like it is Sennheiser's most viable mid-range tuning since the 6 series, I think, especially with the mixing pads.
But you're talking about its treble and its the ear gain is not quite as palatable to you, right?
Yeah, I just think from like 3 kilohertz onwards, it's kind of a scratchy, sandy boy. But I mean, even so, I don't think your pick as product of the year is really that strange. Because every other aspect of it besides the sound is like A tier or S tier. And it's also not expensive relative to a lot of other headphones that do a lot worse at those qualities.
We should probably talk about this a little bit later, but there are the other side of it too is that like Sennheiser's HD6 series are all kind of about the mids. And so I kind of felt like what was missing from their lineup was something that had a bit more treble energy, you know, and then they did that.
In many ways, it does sort of seem like an improvement on like the 560S.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's 560S, but better. And the 560S is a pretty widely loved headphone.
Cameron, what were your favorites of the year?
So, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, it's been a little bit of a slower year, I think, for really good releases. There's not as many things to choose from. And just to preface this, I'm not going to mention any products or put them in contention that I've had involvement with. So, no Aperio GSC, no One GSC. I'm not mentioning those in the list because I don't think they're good, but just because it wouldn't be fair to mention those in the same list. So those are excluded from contention.
One la.
I can't even say that anymore.
5 minutes later. But I think for me, the runner-up has probably got to be the Felix Envy Anniversary Edition. This amp really stood out to me for a number of reasons, and in particular because it's so different from the stock Envy and was such a drastic improvement. There were various things I didn't really like about the original Envy in terms of its sound, whereas this just completely fixed them and took it to a level where it's probably the best sounding tube headphone amp that I've heard. I absolutely adore it, and I just wish that there were more of them being made, but hopefully some of what's been done in that amp we might see from other amps from Felix in future.
It's a cheat code for headphones.
It is. It just makes everything sound good. You can throw really picky and otherwise problematic headphones on it, and it just does a bit of magic, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love that amp, and I'm sad I didn't get to have it here for as long as I would have liked. I think the winner for me has got to be the Hollow Cyan 2. This is a DAC which is in that range just a little bit above $1,000, so above the kind of more affordable ESS and AKM based stuff, but before you start to get into the really esoteric and expensive proprietary designs. It's one of, in fact, I think besides Hollow's other models, one of the most accurate R2R DACs, objectively speaking, you can get at any price. And the value for money it offers, the build quality and the sound that you get from it is just absolutely exceptional. So for me, the Hollow Cyan 2 takes the win for my pick for product of the year.
Makes sense. So we've each given our favorite products that came out this year, or thereabouts. But now we have to come to a consensus. The Headphone Show's product of the year.
We have to agree on something?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is we were trying to do this earlier and we realized we all just disagreed and we couldn't come to a consensus.
We've been trying to start recording this video for about an hour. There's been a fair bit of discussion.
We did actually agree on something though. That's the thing. Like there's obviously things we all have that are our individual favorites, but when we really sat down and talked it through, there was a clear winner this year as something we could all agree was deserving of the title product of the year.
And that product is
the Sennheiser HD 490 Pro.
No, like we all agreed that one actually is it. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is a new platform that is truly excellent in basically every conceivable facet. And in terms of sound, it is basically an improved 560S, which again, 560S is a headphone that so many people love, and it takes that a step further, which is honestly a really good thing. And like you said, it fills out the gaps in Sennheiser's lineup. It also fills out the gaps in a price bracket where there's not many other things like it that are that ergonomic, that have that sort of like airier treble, decent bass, open back with that level of ergonomics. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, like, and two sets of pads.
Yeah, the 2 sets of pads give you a really nice option for tuning it how you want, and also just the price. This isn't a crazy expensive headphone. It's pretty affordable and within reach for most people. It's a new platform. It's a solid step forward. There's a lot that it does right. It's just a really, really solid pick.
Do you guys remember when the DT 1990 first came out and a lot of people really liked it back when it first came out? Like that was like kind of a staple at that price point for that era of audio. The 490 Pro, I feel like, is that now.
Yeah, and it should be. It deserves it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like even that is maybe being a little bit unfair to 490 because I feel like the 1990 hasn't had as much staying power in our sphere, at least. But the 490 is one that I feel like is going to have staying power for the next few years, and people are definitely going to be still talking about it in years to come. It's just when it comes to Sennheiser, like part of what we love about them so much is their build quality and their consistency. And when it comes to a new Sennheiser headphone, like that's what you really want them to get right. And the 490 Pro just absolutely does it. Like it's an S-tier headphone for like the build and comfort and ergonomics and all of that stuff.
And there's a lot of soft features you get with Sennheiser as well. Like the unit variation is far smaller than almost any other manufacturer, I would say. And I mean, we've been to Sennheiser's factory. We've seen them producing the drivers, testing every single one in these automated measurement rig chambers. It's wild. Their tolerances are really low and they do a really, really good job and go a lot further.
I actually want to note on that. I mean, there are some Sennheiser headphones that have notable unit variation, like the 6XOs, but what I think they did the best is their channel matching.
I wanted to also kind of acknowledge that like there were other headphones that came out this year that were, even in the high-end space, that changed things or made improvements on things. Like Hi-Fi came out with that line with the unveileds, and yeah, I mean, as much as that's a meme, there were things that were improved as a result of some of those changes they made. Even something like the Aeon X, Noir X, right, where it's kind of like an evolution of a platform. The 490 Pro, in my mind, is more like, at least in my view, it's what headphones should strive to be in terms of the looks, maybe the looks, maybe not, but like the comfort, the ergonomics, what you get for it. I do like the way that it looks. It's a much more kind of like simple, no-nonsense platform. And in my view, this is the product that really came out and did something new for Sennheiser at that price point. It wasn't just an evolution of previous designs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which is what we've been getting for a little bit. Yeah, so it was really heartening to see Sennheiser come in and do what we already know they're great at, but do it in a completely different and new way that is in many ways an improvement over even their older designs.
And we don't talk about the ergonomics and the design, like the mechanical design and the industrial design, nearly enough in this space, but that stuff matters so much when it comes to actually using these products. And so, I mean, to me, as much as this was not a great year for headphone releases, this one coming out and nailing those aspects, that's why it's the product of the year.
Yep, agreed.
Great, we all agree for once.
So I think that's probably it. If you want to check out any of the things that we talked about in this video, they will all be in the description down below. Other than that, if you liked the video, leave a like down below, comment letting us know what you want to see in the future. If you want to get active in the community, get at the Discord or the forum, both available at the link in the video description. As always, don't forget to stick around, subscribe for more videos and opinions like this in the future. Until next one, guys. Peace.